This is roughly what I can see with my eyes. When you see what I can see with these goggles, it is night and day. These are a pair of night vision goggles, but they're kind of special because they work in two different ways. They use both AI-powered color night vision, but also infrared night vision. And these things can currently be got for just around £200 in the Black Friday sale, which is kind of insane when you consider just how much technology is in these. So in this video, we're going to take a look at these and we're going to start immediately by looking at some sample footage. This shot is what I can see with my naked eye. Then we go over to the goggles and this is what I can see through the goggles. It is absolutely astonishing. This is not using infrared yet. This is still just this device enhancing the light that's available. It is incredible. So these are the AKASO Seemor night vision goggles, and AKASO sent them to me to tell you more about them. So how do they actually work? Well, first of all, calling them goggles is slightly confusing because you don't actually wear them up against your head. You're not like, special forces where you bring this thing down and you can walk along and it's like normal human vision. They're more like binoculars because you look through here. But again, binoculars isn't quite right because even though it looks like there's two lenses in the front, only one of these actually has a camera. This other one is an infrared light, an infrared spotlight, which shines out infrared light out the front. So the vision just goes through here and then the image is displayed on this screen. So you don't hold them up against your face like this. I mean, you can, but it's kind of hard to focus on the screen. I find the ideal distance is about a little bit away from your face, and then you just look at the screen and then you can twist the front here to focus in on whatever it is you're looking at. Now, as I said, these have got two night vision modes, and the most interesting one is the color night vision. It uses a combination of a high light gallery lens, a sensitive sensor on the inside, and then an AI algorithm which helps sort of bring the color information back in, and it's quite impressive. Do you see that person? I couldn't even see that person with my eye. I could hear them, but I couldn't see them. Okay, here's another example. There is a very, very distant light away off to my left on the side of a building, and it's just slightly lighting up the grass, and you can barely make it out. But on the goggles, it looks like it's as bright as around sunset again. That is astonishing. Now this mode does require there to be some ambient light. I find sort of at the very least you want to have sort of a bright moon, a full moon, or just some kind of light away off nearby. It could be a street light or a security light or even a very dim headlight. Just something to provide a little bit of ambient light that this can magnify, and it's pretty impressive. And then we've also got the more familiar black and white infrared night vision, which is powered by this infrared light on the front here, which has got 7 different brightness settings. Just to give you an idea of what size they are, that's them held beside my head. So these goggles record up to 4K video, but don't expect that 4K video to look as good as what you think 4K video looks like. This video right now is 4K, but obviously that's not as good as the sample imagery. You can use these handheld, which works absolutely fine, although the footage is kind of shaky, and once you start using the zoom function, it gets even shakier. So they've got a tripod mount on the bottom of it, and I've got a little tripod plate on here, and that means I can attach them to a tripod for much more stable footage. So it's totally usable, but it's obviously a lot more shaky than compared to when you use them on the tripod. Now the advantage with hand holding them is, of course, you can look around a lot easier. As I mentioned, it's got a zoom function. It's got a 16 times digital zoom. Now, obviously, as you zoom in digitally, that crops the sensor. So the quality does drop each time. But and these aren't actually just limited to using at nighttime. Because they've got that color mode, it means you can actually use these almost like a digital binocular during the day. Let's take a closer look at the goggles themselves. So I've already pointed out, you got the 2 lenses on the front. One of them is the infrared light and the other one is the actual lens. Then in the top here, we've got these chunky buttons, and when you press one of them, they all light up. That makes them easy to find in the dark, and the size means that they're easy to find if you're wearing gloves. On the top, we've got another 1/4-inch thread if you want to mount an accessory on it, and also there's a cold shoe mount, so you could add some other accessory on there as well. Here is the base. You can see I've added a tripod plate on the bottom, and then that there is the battery compartment, and then we've got the little shield on the front, and then we've got the screen. It's a quite simple design, and then on the sides here we've got two little connectors for connecting a neck strap. So the maximum range of these goggles is kind of between 1,500 feet to 3,000 feet, so about 500 meters to a kilometer, which is pretty impressive, although it does depend on sort of the atmospheric conditions. So if it's really misty, or there's haze in the air, or if it's raining, that range is going to be limited. As well as being able to capture 4K video, you can also shoot 4 megapixel stills. One of my favorite features with these goggles is that you can connect them wirelessly to an app on your phone, and then you can remotely monitor the image on the goggles. So that means you can have these set up on a tripod, and you could be sitting back relaxing, just looking at your phone screen to see what the goggles are seeing. Or what you could do is you give your phone to somebody else, so you're able to share the view from the goggles. When it comes to battery life, you get 2 batteries with the goggles. There's already one in here, and these 2 batteries combine to give you a total of up to 8 hours of using these, which for my casual usage is absolutely loads. I can't think of any situation where I'd be using these continuously for more than a couple of hours. Maybe if you're a hunter or something like that and you need to be sitting for hours and hours and hours, that might be a bit limited, but I thought it was loads. They're also IPX5 waterproof, which means you can use them in light, rain, or mist. You're not going to want to use them in anything heavier than that, but you're not going to want to use them in anything heavier than that anyway, because once you get heavy rain, well, you can't really see any distance. So they're perfect for the conditions that you can actually use them in. I'm pointing it directly up at the sky. Look at that. That's a satellite or something. That is kind of cool. One thing that might not be ideal is that if you stand directly in front of the infrared light on the goggles, you can actually see a faint red glow. And that glow is visible to the eye from about up to maybe 50 meters away or more. The goggles come with this handy storage box here. There's also a neck strap that you can attach, which is great for keeping them close to hand. You can take your battery, you can put it in the top there, along with your charge cable. There's a lens wipe in there. You could get a few other bits and pieces. And then the goggles themselves sit in here. And what I like is there's enough space that you can put them in with a tripod plate still on them. That closes over nice and compact, again, in comparison to the size of my head. It's not too big. Now, it would be amazing if the footage that these captured was like really, really super high quality, or they were really, really lightweight. They're about just under 500 grams. I also would have liked to see some kind of stabilization built into this. Now I appreciate that at this price point, mechanical stabilization is unlikely, but some kind of digital stabilization would have been nice, although I kind of understand why there isn't digital stabilization, because digital stabilization requires quite high frame rates. So yeah, I think it's kind of a technological limitation. Or if the battery lasted for say 20 hours, but to be honest, it's really, really hard to complain at that price point, because there are similar products which are even more expensive than these, don't give as good results. And the night vision systems that give you really, really ridiculously good quality results, you're talking about 5, 10, maybe even 20,000 pounds. For most people, these do the job for 200 to 300 pounds. They let you see stuff at night in pitch blackness. They let you record photos and videos of it. For me personally, I think probably the most useful place I'm going to use these is when I'm on a camping trip, especially in winter, when I'm up somewhere and maybe sitting for 16 hours in the dark, bored out of my skull. I can bring these with me and maybe sit in a mountaintop and observe and try and look and see if there's any wildlife about, or if there's an axe murderer on the way to kill me. So yeah, I'm gonna find them useful for that. Just a little bit of fun, a little bit of a gadget in a way, that will help put in those long nights on the hills. Obviously, there are a lot more uses for these, but I'd be interested to know what you think. Is this a product you'd be likely to use? Do you think it's good value for money? Or if you can think of a product which is better than this for around the same money, let me know about that as well in the comments. And if you found this video useful, maybe consider subscribing. But thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.